10 years ago, 15 years ago, when mobile money started, it was all about security and convenience, right? People wanted the ability to send money to family or friends or whatever. So if you were in Port Nova and you wanted to send money to someone in Calavi, this was a safe way to do that. Now, fast forward 15 years later, and the ecosystem has completely changed, right? And we're seeing more and more of a focus on advanced payment. In terms of cybersecurity, it's one of the things, aside from geopolitics, that's keeping CEOs up at night. One of the challenges that you have as a CEO and as a business is how do you stay ahead of the curve, right? In terms of how the threats are changing, and how all these actors are behaving in the ecosystem. If I go back 10 years, the discussion around cybersecurity was very IT focused, right? It's probably one guy in the department who is trying to monitor all this stuff. But over the last 5-6 years, MTN Bénin and MTN Group has really evolved. We've gone from this one guy in the back room to a whole ecosystem. So you have an information security team that has really sort of expanded over the few years. Locally, there's a regional team, and then there's the global team at the group. And the goal is really to be very, very serious around how we monitor, how we think about potential threats, how we also sort of prepare. So a lot of scenario planning and all of that. The other thing that we invest in quite significantly is how do we ensure that employees understand that cybersecurity is not an IT issue, right? It's a business issue, and it's the responsibility of everyone to ensure that we protect not just our business, but our customers. So we worry about data breaches, as you can imagine. Now with artificial intelligence, you can imagine we worry about deep fakes, all kinds of things, right? And we still worry about things as basic as phishing. So what we've really invested in as well is how do we train the employees? How do we have really good employee awareness? And how do we create a culture around security? Well, first and foremost, we've invested quite a bit in 5G. We have also modernized our entire network. We started last year. We intend to complete that this year. We've also been investing quite a bit in terms of modernizing our IT platforms and systems. We just talked about cybersecurity as well. So there's a very holistic approach in terms of how we want to grow with our customer, to follow the trends within the market. So the last reason I'm not going to mention the competition because that's not what drives our investment. What drives our investment is, do we believe that the customer is evolving, the customer is growing, the behavior of the customer is evolving, and we follow that. And quite frankly, as I'm sure you know, the customer in Benin has really sort of evolved over the last 10 years, a lot more sophisticated. And so our investment is kind of following that path. And so we're going to continue to do that. Last year, when we look at the reports from the regulator, we continue to out-invest our competitors, and we'll continue to do so, to follow the needs of our customers. "10 years ago, 15 years ago, when mobile money started, it was all about security and convenience, right? People wanted the ability to send money to family or friends or whatever. So if you were in Port Nova and you wanted to send money to someone in Calavi, this was a safe way to do that. Now, fast forward 15 years later, and the ecosystem has completely changed, right? And we're seeing more and more of a focus on advanced payments. What do I mean by advanced payments? Everything from bill payments to merchant payments, for example. We've done a really good job in building the ecosystem, and this is where I think we've been very good at being able to bring merchants on board. We have 150,000 agents across the country, right? So whether you're in Malanville, whether you're in Cotonou, you have access. And I think that's the conversation that we have with merchants to say, you know what, with us, you have access to your customers wherever they are. And it's a very convincing argument as well. I think the second thing, especially for SMEs, the idea of being able to house your money on your phone as opposed to having cash is also really interesting. So we've done the work of doing the door-to-door. We've done the work of being able to communicate that through our agent network. We also have programs around API integration. So there are a lot of different avenues in which we're able to bring merchants into the ecosystem. We're also allowing merchants to self-register to make it very easy for them to become part of the mobile money ecosystem. And there are just many more things in the pipeline in terms of how to bring people on. But we are very strategic about what's the customer behavior, and so what merchants do we prioritize to bring into the ecosystem so that customers have access to the things that they use the most. And that's been very successful for us so far.